Welcome back, Rush Media Day. Thanks for being here. We got the Lehi Pioneers coach Andy Hadfield and a couple of his star players. We're going to learn all about this year's team, their schedule, what they're looking forward to, how the offseason has been. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
Great. Andy, thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
Just kind of give me a state of the program right now, Coach. Going into your second year as the head coach, to this point in the offseason, some 7-on-7 stuff going on right now. Summer camp next week. Just kind of give us a state of the program.
Hey, yeah, we're really excited. I got a great bunch of players back. We got a lot of returners and also some young kids coming in. I think the thing I'm most excited about with this year's team is they just have bought in. They're doing everything we ask them to do. Understand that it is a process, and getting through spring ball and 7-on-7 season and summer camp. It's all about learning and getting better. Like we're not trying to peak right now. We're not going out to these 7-on-7 tournaments trying to win them. We're trying to get better. If you win, that's great, but that's not the number one goal. So the players have bought in. Like I said, we got some really great leadership on this team, and just excited to see what they can do.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk all about the players and the personnel you got back. First, the ultimate media day question, Coach. How many returning starters do you have on offense and defense this year? I know it's
Well, I've
always hard
counted.
to tell exactly.
It's tough because starting is such a a weird thing to say with football. I mean, yeah, there's 11 players that play, but you could technically say you had 15 starters on a team, right? So, um, real contributors, I guess, to last year's team. We have two on offense. I was trying to add this all up. I should have had all this information. And between 4 to 6 on defense. Cameron is a slot receiver for us. He started last year, and then Case and Page, our offensive lineman, one of our big right guard. He's going to move to right tackle this year. Is returning as a starter. We got some young bucks in the program that are going to step up and play, which again to me is an excitement that the program's in good hands and good spot with just senior leadership, but also young guys coming in. Um, all of these guys have played. Like,
Yeah.
were they starters? Were they starters last year? No. Did they play a lot of plays, get a lot of reps? Yeah. So
What would you say, going back to last year a little bit, Coach, was something, what aspect of the game would you say that you were very pleased with how you performed last season, and what do you even want to improve on going into this year in year two?
well, I hope. I mean, I think all of us in this business are always pick at the things we did wrong and want to improve on. So I can tell you a lot of the things I did wrong and what we did wrong. What we did well is always it's a lot harder to figure that out. I mean, there was times last year where we played as a team and came together and did what we were supposed to do. And when that happened, the offense and defense just clicked, and
Yeah.
we were the team we thought we could be. I mean, one of the issues with high school, and I think I even see it in college, is that you're dealing with young men that aren't 100% every day, and sometimes have mental lapses and do things. And when we did those kinds of things, it looked like we were, kind of like I say it all the time, kind of like my golf game. Like one day I can hit a ball like a pro, and the other day it's like, hey, have you ever picked up a club and swung it before? So it kind of felt like that was last year's team. We were just up and down a lot, and a lot of that was on me. It falls on me and making the right changes as the leader of the team that we're always ready. And it's been a big focus with us this year. And I think that this year's team, the excitement goes right with that. Is that we have an opportunity with maybe not the names and the star rating players, but an opportunity to win it as a team. And these guys they're just that.
Awesome. We'll go through the position groups a little bit here, Coach, and just kind of get a brief review on each of them. Let's start with Briggs and the quarterback room, and how not only Briggs but some of the other quarterbacks are looking this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, we're really deep at quarterback, which is a luxury to have at this day and age because that's the position where you're not playing, you go somewhere else. So, um, Briggs has been in the program this fourth year. He knows the offense, he knows the systems, he knows what's in place. I think the best thing I could say about Briggs is he just knows what he's supposed to do with the ball. Um, that's not always the case with quarterback. They can have a big, strong arm, or they can be, just fast guy, but doesn't always make the right decision. That position so much plays into the mental part of it, and he's as solid as we've had in the program ever in that position. So excited for that. Carson Rogers is one of the backup quarterbacks, and Brady Beck. Those two are really great ball players and are pushing. It's always a competition, not one guy. I'll never ever write somebody's name in stone that they're the guy, and no matter what happens. So it's a competition, but they've all taken it and are pushing each other.
Briggs, how would you describe your off season and kind of being getting a bunch of reps at quarterback and the system that coach has installed here over the last couple of years? You guys scored almost 30 points a game, I think, last year.
Yeah, so coming into my fourth year in this program, Coach Hadfield has kind of kept the same offense that we had before and just built on it. And it's been nice getting the reps and attacking it this off season. And it's come together good. And we trust Hadfield to get the plays there. And then we have a bunch of other coaches that are getting our receivers and everything together.
And let's talk about the receivers while I'm talking to you, Briggs. Give me a breakdown of that position group and maybe a name or two of guys who you expect to make plays for you this year.
Yeah, obviously we have Cam Wren returning, who was a big contributor last year. He's a ball player. He makes plays. And then we have a few guys around him with Tyson Butterfield. He played some last year, and then Vince Rillis and our running back's looking good too. So.
All right, excellent. Coach, I was gonna, he brought up Cam Wren. I was watching film on him the other week, and I was just impressed. He looks, I don't know how big he is. He looks big out there, and you guys would just throw screens to him, and he would go full blast through contact. Just looks like a physical kind of a receiver out there.
He's big. So we kind of run a little different system where we run a two tight end set. A lot of times the slot receiver teams will put a little short shifty guy in there where we've always erred on the side of a bigger receiver. We call him a tight end, even though he's technically a slot receiver. He's 6'1", really good size, really strong, really strong. I think the most impressive thing about him, and this last track season, he ran a 10.700 meter. He was consistently under the 10.8 mark. He's a smooth runner, so he's fast, but it's deceptive fast.
How would you describe the running back room right now? And there's probably some unknowns there. I'm not sure, but just curious about a couple of names in the runner. With the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're replacing somebody like Devon Eka that's been in the program and was huge for us for 4 years, you're trying to figure out how do you replace that guy, and you really don't. What we've got is a couple of guys that are really, really good, strong running backs that have a lot of the same qualities as Devon. And so Sam Verbecki's one of them, and Cam Bryce, they're both just actually blow me away. Cam Bryce was a big time contributor in our sub varsity level team last year, and really took his team and put him on his back and really carried them most of the season. So he's an impressive player.
All right, we're going to get to Brody Downs here in a minute, talk a little bit about the defense. But before we do that, Briggs, give me a review of the offensive line this year. How big are you guys? Got somebody who you think is going to kind of be the leader of that group this year for the Pioneers?
Yeah, so I mean, last year we had as big of an offensive lineman as you can get in high school football. But yeah, we have a lot of young guys returning. Kason Page is obviously the most experienced, probably the leader of that group, and I trust them and looking forward to attacking it this year.
Awesome. Coach, do you have anything to add about the O-line this year?
Yeah, we're piecing guys together. We're deep at it, whereas we've got a lot of O-linemen, which is a luxury we haven't really ever had in the 13 years I've been there. But we've got to teach some of these young guys. Coach Anderson is one of the best O-line coaches in the state, not the country. I trust him to do a really good job teaching them, but it's hard. It's a hard position through the spring and early summer without pads on. It's hard to play that position without pads on. So we'll get a good evaluation going into our summer padded camp, and as we come out of that, to hopefully kind of solidify where guys are at. But there's a lot of potential in that room.
Okay, let's go to defense. Coach, why don't you tell me about your linebacker who's with us today, Brody Downs, and then I'll ask him a little bit about the defense as well.
Yeah, kind of a lot like Briggs. I can't say enough good about Brody. He's a supreme leader. And the best thing about him is he's a humble guy. He just does everything that you ask him to do. One of the hardest working guys in the weight room, doesn't miss a practice, doesn't miss a workout. Um, a great student in the classroom, and the team kind of rallies around him. Whereas if he says it, there's not a bunch of kids complaining and saying, "What's this guy? Who's this guy? Why does he think he can tell me what to do?" Um, if Brody says it, the guys do it because they know what Brody's going to do, and that's just a quality that not everybody has or possesses, and I think it comes natural to him because he's just used to doing everything the right way.
Excellent. Okay, Brody. Tell me about some of your fellow linebackers, and then I'll kind of talk with Coach and you, I guess, about the defensive line. But let's start with the backers this year. What does that unit look like?
Yeah, for sure. So we're all basically returning. We have Paul Unga and Colt Kelly, and they both are our two outside backers. And Colt played outside and started last year, and Paul rotated in last year as well. So we're all three returning. And I think that's probably our strongest section of the defense this year. But yeah, I think we're really strong all together.
And are you in the middle or the outside?
Yes. Yeah, middle
O-
backer.
Okay, what's it like being a middle backer in Region 3? I can only imagine what it's like playing in the SEC. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely you feel like you're getting picked out by all the linemen. You got them double teaming up to you, and yeah, it's like it's crazy because I'm calling the whole defense, or I'm watching the offense, doing all the reads, and calling out the defenses for our team. So I'm kind of the leader of our defense. But yeah, it's kind of crazy in Region 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's see, Coach. Let's talk a little bit about the defensive line.
That's another strong position. Actually, we've got a bunch of guys. I know we lost some talent, but these guys they rotated in. Really excited about our two defensive ends. Tautai Meredith had some medical issues last year and only got to play in one game. Um, Moved here from Hawaii, and so he's going into his second year. Got a lot of potential. Sterling Fillmore's kind of our utility player. As a freshman, he was our backup right tackle on the offensive line at 160 pounds, and then he moved to Mike linebacker and was the backup Mike linebacker as a sophomore, and then last year moved to defensive end. So he's kind of been all over the field, but he's just one of those guys that is just strong and can really play multiple positions. And I'm excited to see him just get after quarterbacks this year. And then my interior guys, another probably, I mean, even on the championship teams we've had, defensive tackle, we've been undersized and not as strong as we probably should be, even though we have some great players there. The guys coming this year are just horses. They can fill a gap and they can take on a double team and allow our linebacking crew to get after it.
Um, let's see. I guess I'll ask Briggs. I'm curious your evaluation of the secondary. You're throwing against these guys, I guess, in practice a little bit. Give me a name or two of a playmaker this year at safety and corner.
Yeah, we have a few young guys getting some reps, catching up to the speed of the game. But Porter Hobbs has been around safety corner, making plays all over the field. So that's who I'd call out.
Awesome. Okay, very good. Coach, I was going to ask you in your time, I know you've been, you were a player at Lehi and stuff like that, and your family goes way back, but since you've been a coach, um, high school sports changes so much, but Lehi has always been an elite program and competing for championships, but you've been at 4A, I think, 5A, 6A.
Yeah.
What has the last decade been like, just the evolution of that area? And now it's the epicenter of high school football in the state, really.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The year before I started coaching, it was Ed Larson's first year, and he took over. He had an 0-10 team, and one of the biggest schools in the state at that time before Skyridge opened. And then the next year we won 3 games, and then Skyridge opened, and 2 years later we beat Skyridge in a championship. So both teams, coming from one school, making it to a championship game
Yeah.
from a team that was 0-10. The growth is hard to manage. I think it's hard to manage in the classroom, and it's hard to manage on the football field, where you've got to have a cohesive unit that love each other and play for each other. In this day and age of money in college football and things like that, where you see a
Sure.
lot of kids playing for themselves. I think Indiana winning the championship last year was a really good example to these kids that it's not about the stars and talent; it's about teams playing for each other. And I think that they built a good thing over there at Indiana, which is what we're kind of trying to do here. And I think as the school split, these players were just able to get, more connected to each other. It wasn't so big. Growth is always an issue where we're at, but it's a nice issue to have because it's really fun to coach good players. But I've seen a lot of change, and I mean, the classifications, the 6A classification is absolutely insane. And you said it, Region 3 is tough. There's really good teams outside of Region 3, but to play a 6A schedule week in and week out, I was always one of those guys that I love college football. I hate when people would say, "Yeah, it's the SEC. They got to come play an SEC schedule," and it just didn't make any sense until we went through it last year. And there's no weeks off. There's you can't say, "Oh, I'm going to watch an hour less film this week. I'm tired. I need a week off." And then you got to try and manage the health of your players because you can't. Really a lot of it comes down to who stays the healthiest. And when you're playing against these big teams, it's just a matter of time before somebody goes down and you lose a player.
And coach, I want to say nobody gets more annoyed about ESPN slurping the SEC than me.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you got to say where the state champs almost every year coming from kind of down where you guys are. So there is a trend for sure. I forgot to ask you about your defensive coordinator. Can you just tell me his name and what type of coach he is and his style?
Yeah, Jared Harward is the defensive coordinator. The nice thing, Andy, about this position, I love Lehi. Obviously, I grew up here, and that's
Yeah.
just kind of runs in the family. Um, Coaching was really not anything an aspiration of mine or any of that, but I got into it and loved it, and so here we go, right? But the nice thing about Lehi is we don't have a ton of coach turnover. When I applied for the position, I went to all the assistant coaches and said, "Hey, I'm not going to do this unless you're here with me." And I think I hired one coach last year, and there was a couple of guys that had to step away for family things, so I had to hire two different two more new ones. But for the most part, Coach Lofton, my linebacker coach, and him and I have been at Lehi for 13 years together. Coach Cooper, the quarterback coach, he's been at Lehi before I got there. Coach Rice is my special teams coordinator. He coached me when I was in high school at Lehi. And then Coach Harward has been with us since that 2017 championship season. So he's going on year 10 at Lehi. So we're a 4-2 team. Kind of get after it. He's smart. Our back end and front end are called a little bit differently. And the thing I like about Jared is that he understands football. He's competitive. Players love him. He's got a sense of humor. So he's one of those guys in the huddle that's always going to get somebody laughing. But the players respond to him really well. And boy, I mean, I'm an offensive guy, and I couldn't tell you I couldn't tell you how to call a defense, but defense wins championships. And there's been years when we've won that we wouldn't have won it with the offense we had, and then other times where the offense is bringing the defense along. So it's got to be a twofold thing, and really threefold with special teams. But it really helps my offense to look good if the defense is stopping them. I tell Jared all the time, we'll win every game. You hold the opponent to 0. So
Okay, very good. Let's see. Should I ask you about a kicker, or should we move past that position? How's special teams looking right now, Coach?
I don't know if other schools are this way, but it's always a work in progress at this point in the season. We've had some good ones though in the past. So we got tryouts going for kickers. We've recruited some kids from the soccer team, and they're working with our kicking coach, which he's phenomenal, by the way, an All-American at UNLV that played at Lehi, Jose Pisano, helps our kickers, coaches them. And so we're just hoping to have them ready by the time the season starts.
Okay, excellent. Let's do rapid fire here, Briggs and Brody. I'm going to ask a question about some of your teammates. You just give me the first answer that comes to mind. This helps us kind of learn more about the guys on your team. Who's the toughest guy to out squat in the weight room, Brody?
Oh, I would say it's either me or Trey. our defensive tackle. I think both of us are probably the heaviest squatters. Even Sterling Fillmore's a heavy squatter as well. So I'd
Okay.
say us three.
And remind me Trey's last name.
Nelson.
Trey Nelson.
Ooh,
Okay.
what's his last name? I can't remember. Nelson. Yeah, Trey.
Brody, I wasn't sure Brody was going to know it, so I had to step up.
Okay, there you go. Who's got the fastest 40 time this year, Briggs?
Gotta be Cameron with that 10-7 speed.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course. And then besides a quarterback like you, Briggs, who's the most cerebral, like coach on the field type of player this year? Who you're like, wow, this guy really knows, he sees what's going on out here.
Coach Hadfield, and then our receivers coach, Coach Moore, is really in the playbook and smart, helping me out, helping the receivers, helping coach. So it's good.
Okay. All right. Coach, did you have a comment on that one? A player who's impresses you with his knowledge of the game?
Well, I was just thinking about that when you talk about it. I'd say Brody for sure. Just his football IQ is extremely high. Porter Hobbs, Briggs mentioned him in our secondary.
Yeah.
Very smart player. I mean, those are positions where you kind of have to be. So,
okay.
So, those are the guys I'd say kind of take over.
Okay. Brody, who's the last guy you want to go up against in an Oklahoma drill or a hitting drill?
I would say Case, strictly off of his size. I mean, he's huge and a workhorse, so it'd be hard to go against him, but I think
okay, shoot. Say his name again.
Case and Page.
There you go. Okay. Case and Page.
Our tackle. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And then Briggs, give me the guy on Friday nights who puts the most effort into how they look in their uniform.
Tyson Butterfield. He's always buying new things, looking good.
Okay, and then Coach, does Lehi have like a super fan who's been cheering for Lehi football for 30 years or paints their face, or maybe a mom or a student or somebody who's kind of famous for being a Lehi crazy fan or something like that? Some schools don't, but
well, you're going to get me in trouble on this one, Andy. If I say one, there's going to be somebody else. I live in this community, and if I say the wrong name, I could be in trouble, but there's a lot of them. The traditions in Lehi go a long ways back. I love the opportunity to walk around and kind of, I'm not the face of the team, but to be one of those people that get a hold that position and represent what we do at Lehi. Kate, our booster, our lady that runs our concessions, does everything at Lehi. KJ, just Lehi. But it really is it's really a funny situation where I really think people come to Lehi and fall in love with the environment, and it's because of the old timers and the new people coming in that just really buy into what Lehi High School is about.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you guys for all of that. Let's see, Coach, I got to get you out of here, but just give me a little preview of week 1 against Maple Mountain, your excitement for that challenge.
Yeah, Maple Mountain's got some really good returning players coming back. So they are, last year they were kind of in a little bit of a mess with, getting a coach later in the spring, and he was trying to get everything as a first-year guy. Coach Schwenke does a good job, though. I was really impressed with their staff last year. They're going to be ready to play this year. It's not going to be the cupcake game. We're excited to have them, and just excited to see what we can do week 1, because there's a lot of that. That's a big time week for high school kids. First time a lot of them playing under the lights on Friday night. The nerves, you never know what's going to happen. So just eliminating mistakes will help.
All right, that's Coach Andy Hadfield, Briggs Jensen, and Brody Downs, Lehi Pioneers. Thank you guys so much for your time. Good luck this upcoming season, and we'll be in touch. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Quick break. Back with more right after this on The Rush. This interview is brought to you by Appliance Wholesalers Plus. Trust the boys at Cell, GE, and Samsung at AWP. They've been supporting Region 9 athletes for over 25 years at AWP.